Hi guys, I'm doing this video a little early this week. Bank of Canada changes Wednesday, June 1st. So I'm doing this video on Tuesday because I want to set out a quick video on the Bank of Canada change when that happens. And I want to go into a lot of detail today because of what I think is going to happen and how we're going to prepare for that. So the truth is we sit one day out from the Bank of Canada change. Most data, most media is posting towards the idea that we would have inevitably, no question, have a 0.50 rate change tomorrow. So I understand that even when we run the numbers and say, hey, that's not so bad, for the majority of our clients in a prime -1 mortgage, that's 2.7%. Historically, that's very low. That's still the best deal. That's what I have. But I understand that we have a situation now where, like this is, it can be a little nerve-wracking. So many rate changes in a short period of time, much bigger ones historically than we've ever had, and among everything else, finishing off, a really stressful time with COVID restrictions, and also, and also, the rising cost of inflation in other areas. So look, I want to give you kind of a blueprint for what we're thinking here as we go into a 0.5 rate. So first of all, realize this, and we've been breaking this down a little bit too micro. That's about, for every 0.25% rate, it's about $11 per $100,000 in mortgage. So if you have a 0.5% rate, $22 per $100,000 in mortgage. So quick math, if I have a $500,000 mortgage, that means that every single time that I have a every single time that I have a 0.5% increase, which is expected to happen tomorrow, happened the last time, then I can look at, for every $500,000 in mortgage, that's $120 extra on my payment. $120 for every $500,000 in mortgage. So that's maybe a better way to think about it. Now, the first type of client you might be like me. Like for me, I'm not touching my variables. I can stomach payment increases. I'm not worried. And those payment changes to me are small, and I'm not worried, so I don't change. So maybe you're in that boat. I become very, very leery about the idea here that people go, well, should I lock in right now, or should I go into, or should I have gone into a fixed rate before? So remember, the reason we're keeping people at fixed rates is that historically it's much lower. So just because the rate's been higher this month, everybody's all predicting a recession 12 to 18 months down the road, which would make complete sense if we see some higher rate increases, that they'd be maybe dropping those back down. That'd be very, very logical. So it still remains to be most likely that, had you taken a variable a year ago over a fixed rate, that, yeah, I will admit would have put you in a lower rate than what it is right now in the variable, you would still do better over time as that changes. And the second thing is we can't gloss over this, is that the advantage of a variable is the penalty structure. The penalty structure is a situation where when I pay out my mortgage early, I gotta sell, I gotta refinance, anything like that, that's gonna result in me having a major penalty of almost 5 times greater, roughly, than I would on a variable rate. With the uncertainty of the world right now, I cannot justify the idea we put clients into mortgages that would be very restrictive on that. Life is, if you look at 5 years ago, life is a lot different than it was 5 years ago for nearly everybody. And so, we can't downplay that particular reason why a variable is important. And we can't forget a reason why a bank would encourage you to go fixed rate is that's where they're making their money, is on the penalty. So let's not forget those points. They're very, very important. But I would be remiss to say that, I can see where we're going with some rate changes, that these could be, these are nerve-wracking. So hey, maybe you're the client like me where you're saying, hey, look, those rate changes, I get it, Joel, great. So that's me. Secondly, if you're like, Joel, this is starting to get too much for me. Lots of people we talked to said, hey, lots rate change, I can stomach it, but like a little more could be a lot. I get it. So two things, and I think we've talked about this before, but these are important things to be aware of. So two, if you want to switch your mortgage to a static payment, so it means that even as rates go up, your payment never changes. That can be done today, and actually we have 2 lenders that are offering you some incentives to do that. So if you're like, hey, I can handle the rate changes, and usually those have been historically a little more expensive on the rate. Right now they're a little bit more even on things, so we wouldn't have necessarily encouraged you to begin with. I don't have any of those, so that is, and then you can move your payment up if you choose to, but you don't have any risk of your payments going up. So if that's you, reach out to us right away. Yes, we do have to do some paperwork and we qualify you, but there is some incentives that will cover the vast majority of breaking your penalty early. So very, very important. If that's you, let's make that happen. The other way we can look at, I was viewing this with the field coupons this week, is if a lot of people, this is a perfect storm. So rates have gone up, the cost of things gone up, maybe I'm stagnant on my income. We need to just take rate changes are just the tip of the iceberg, and it might seem overwhelming, but actually we have a bigger problem. $125 isn't making the difference on it, or $120 isn't making the difference on it. So in that case, we could look at amortizing your mortgage, and dropping it. I ran a client's numbers yesterday. That's about $650. So $650 you can save by moving the mortgage out. So I said, someone will say, won't that mean I'll pay my mortgage off in a slower way? Yeah, you will. You will pay your mortgage off slower by doing that, but you will get that payment relief. And the last thing, and I realize I've said these things before, but they're just so important as we look at another rate change, is doing everything but the mortgage. So where is, have I taken care of any debt? We now have a product right now that I don't have to break my existing mortgage on some deals, and I can just add a $100,000 component. So that is a great product right now that could be really useful. So reach out if that's something that you want to take advantage of. 2, that can include, something that people aren't thinking about is that variable mortgages are one thing, but lines of credit are going up. So if you're like, my line of credit balance is going up, yeah, let's throw all that into to a more fixed payment. So anyway, if we haven't had to talk about restructuring these things, now is the time. I realize these are scary and unsettling times, but reach out. Let's chat about your personal situation. We are actively trying to go through people in the database. We're trying to talk to people, and there's a lot of people reaching out, but please do reach out and make some time. And lots of times we reach out to people and we don't hear back or different things like that. Do reach out. We want to go through your mortgage and make sure you're comfortable. A lot of people, when we talk to them, are finding out things that they didn't know about their mortgage before that happens. So anyway, Bank of Canada expected to increase rate by 0.5% tomorrow. It's scary times. I know that this can be a scary thing, but let's talk and let's build a strategy on where we're going. Now, the last thing I'll leave you with is the thing that we probably say every week. Do we think we need to lock in? And the answer to that question is that no, I still think that locking in is not the greatest idea. We're still locking in at 4.5% rate. If nothing else, there's a few reasons on that. I think those fixed rates are going to move down. And if I was locking in, I wouldn't lock down now. And if I was locking into a fixed rate, by the way, I wouldn't lock in a 5-year fixed rate. If I was really nervous, I'd start looking at a 10-year term, which would mean I couldn't break it for a long time, but certainty for a long time. Or I'd start looking at a 2-year term. 2-year term being shorter penalty. So these are all things we got to look at. And so when we're thinking about, should I lock in? That's not the easiest question. So let's have conversations, even if we talked a few months ago before. If you're nervous, don't be nervous. Let's reach out and let's make sure we have a strategy in place for you. Have a great day.